Korea. So, and the Chinese, a lot of people will go in there. Yes, I almost occupied Korea. But this one, they are going to skip this one. China, Korea. And visitor. And Chinese visitor. This is actually the showed us the yen is at that time weak yen, but now is 15.45, so going down again. Here, stronger yen.
Yeah.
Or renminbi is weaker instead of Japanese stronger. Renminbi is this year. So recently Chinese not so much buy in Japanese market. Beforehand they bought lots of products because weak yen, not now. But how many people going to Japan? It's 250 2014, but this year,
Oh,
September, the end of September, 5 million or 5 million double. It means maybe the end of the year, maybe, I'm not sure, 7 million? It means triple,
Yes.
right? This is drastically increasing, right? Right? So this shows and this one is Chinese tourists climbing cherry trees. This is bad habit. They have a lot of bad habits. They have actually a lot of bad habits. And challenge of Japanese company in China and Chinese local cost is increasing. How we're going to handle it, and communication with business partners is Japanese people need to justify the cultural difference with Chinese, but still not yet. And the communication with Chinese government, how to sustain Chinese government relationship, not so well. So this all those Japanese is handled not well. So this is a big problem for Japanese in future. Okay. And this one is not for Japanese, but the typical challenge for how to handle Chinese in China, how to handle business in China. But biggest challenge is to doing business in China, right?
I think the number one problem, the number one challenge for companies investing in China is finding out what their motivation is. Early on, everybody was really interested in China.
He is talking of 5 issues, and 1, 2, 3, 5. This means it's like motivation first. He said how to motivate Chinese people. So things he's talking about. I don't sure.
Because it's a to make sure that everybody agrees why they're doing what they're doing. The CEO, the CFO, the salesperson, the board, everybody needs to agree that this is what they want to do, because China is for the long haul. It's not a 9-month mini project. You're going to be there for a long.
Second message takes time. Long haul.
It's going to go up and down, smooth path. There's not a bridge to the future of China. It's going to be, he said, like crossing the river by feeling for stones. And it was a really good image, because there's a rushing river in front of you and stones peeking up. You're not sure if they're really stones or what they are, if they're safe, and you have to kind of gingerly put your foot out, test it, then go to the next one, then go to the next one. That's China. You're going to have to make decisions on the basis of a lack of information, and that's very difficult for some companies to do. Number 3, similar to kind of a follow-on number 2, is in China there's always a story behind the story. There's a person behind the person. There is, it's never what you see on the front end, and it's partially related to cultural issues. I mean, for 5,000 years, there's been.
He is talking about not just negotiating in front of people, but they have secret behind secret. Person behind person. Japanese are not familiar with how to handle those things. So just
This inside-outside orientation.
yeah,
It's not some, you're not talking to some puppet or some society that is that's important to take into account. So we advise companies never stop asking questions. The fourth challenge to foreign investors in China is understanding the role of the government.
This is
Obviously,
government.
Chinese government is very
Very
the
important.
opening of some of those. Even in some of the private companies that have completely privatized, there are governments and government influence behind them. Particularly if you are doing business with smaller companies in companies in small interested in their success and make sure that they maintain a revenue base through this company, they maintain an employment base through this company. So if you're doing a deal with them, particularly if you're trying to acquire them or do a joint venture with them, it's absolutely critical to find out what the local government thinks. The final thing, and this is something that I've learned, is that talking about China and having one definition for what it means to do business in China is impossible. It is very different to do business in Beijing versus Shanghai, Shanghai versus
Last one is different by area, by city. So China is not single market. But Japanese people misunderstand many cases, like they try to handle all China. No, it's impossible. This one is my message. Taiwanese will support Japanese company. The only Taiwanese understand Japanese. Taiwanese is the same as they speak Chinese. And Taiwanese can, they like us. So only Taiwanese can shake hands with them to ask them to penetrate into not only China, all over the world. They are salesperson. They're very much globalized. So Japanese very poor to communicate with overseas Westerners and Asian people, but Taiwanese can do. Why not we want to utilize them as sales force? This is my opinion. Very few people use Taiwanese. They do not understand. This is Wilden Hoy.
いやもう22年ぶりの東京でたくさん期待しております。この度の学術文化および食の村地の探索できるだけ希望してた。
He was a soldier in Japanese
皆さんよろしくお願
army
いします。
before.
今回はグループリーダーにされる方は非常に楽しみにされていらっしゃいますか？
安国神社はまだ時間決めておりません。もうせっかく来たんだから兄貴にも会わなくちゃいけない。そう思ってます。
He did in the World War II, his brother. Okay, this is Taiwanese, typical Taiwanese.
Why Taiwanese is friend to peace Japan?
Yeah. So this is why not we try to work and get together with them. This is Taiwanese, Japanese Taiwanese. And this last video is Chinese American business culture. And Chinese and American business, how different among American way and Chinese way. But I'll not show you. This is American way and Chinese way is how different it is. Left side is Japanese way, right side is Chinese way. And Taiwanese way is almost same as Taiwanese and Chinese way.